I've encouraged people to keep a victory log. Not some big fancy book, a little notebook, and call it my victory log. And when small things have happened in their lives that are pleasing to them, that ratify them as a person, make a little note of it. Not a big diary, just to make a note of it. And as you accumulate all those sense of victories in your life, when these moments come up of uncertainty, challenge, whatever it may be, go back and refresh yourself from your own victory log. Really, it's like all these great philosophers pulled together through your vision, but they're what you have done. And recently, I was in a bank dealing with one of the officers. As we're taking care of some issue, she begins to cry. Have I answered one question? No. But I find myself gripped in sadness because she said, believe it or not, I really want to be a stand-up comic. And she said, I just don't seem, everything goes wrong and I can't quite do it and this and that. And I'm certain whether, and I said, well, what attracts you to that? She said, well, people say I have a good sense of humor. And I've had a lot of people come up to me and say this and that. And I said, why don't you do this? Why don't you create a victory log? Start with your memory of the things that encourage you to think about daring to become a comic, okay? And when these moments of uncertainty come up, go back and read that victory log and see whether it spurs you to a different attitude and a different approach about this whole issue, all right? And so I may have been there like a couple months later, this same little banker is there. She said, do you have a minute? So I got her up, she holds up, this is my victory log. She showed me all the stuff she'd been notes of. I said, well, how are things going? She said, I got a gig for next weekend. I'm going to be doing the comedy club or something. And she said, my whole view has changed because rather than basking in the impediments, I can reflect on the achievements. So it seems to me useful for people to think about, and they don't have to do it every day the rest of their life, but occasionally pull together those things that represent small victories in your life and let that victory log and those components be a garden of the possible for your life. I think people need to freshen their mental garden. And one way to do that, I guess, to continue that analogy, is to have a victory garden, right? Full of all these elements from your victory log. Because there's moments of doubt and uncertainty and disappointment in everyone's life and career. That's called living, all right? It really is. But we can all think about the moments when we've read about or experienced somebody that stepped above it. They stepped above it. We end up being inspired by what they've achieved. We end up being inspired by that. We deserve to be inspired by our own achievements. This is not about pride or ego. It's just a garden to go to remind yourself of all those victories. I think I mentioned to you in one of our little chats or walks that, never having had a family or a father, mainly patriarchal presences in foster homes, when a male in authority said something to me that affirmed some capability, all right, I attached myself to that like a magnet. And I reflected with you on a couple of specifics. One was when I was chosen to become president of my newspaper company, the CEO said, I was debating you or this other chap, but he said, you're just more of a creative. I never thought of myself that way. I've never stopped hearing you're more creative. It's made me willing to take creative risks, all right? Another time, I had written a report about one of our markets, and we had to deal with a strategic challenge. And he called me and said, this is very thorough, and I appreciate you doing it, but he said, you write so well. I attached myself to that. How dare I sit down and write these books? I'm not really a trained writer, but if I get an idea, I can kind of walk it around the track and things happen because I held on to that. People need to hold on to the affirmatives in their life, okay? Everyone has some of those. You may have some of their downers when people are trying to rain your parade. The choice we make is, do we keep ourselves attached to the thunderstorms, or do we choose to have ourselves linked into the rays of sunshine that come our way? Sometimes the thunderstorms are angry enough to push your thinking the wrong way, we have to exercise our will in order to say, come on, sunshine, we're dragging you in here. You got to have a place to go to remind yourself of the sunshine.